Dear friends, I'm glad that we have successfully completed the first module of our course where we explored the concept of design and its significance in our day to day lives. Together, we examined the role design plays from the simplest object we interact on a daily basis to more complex system. Moreover, we also took the opportunity to craft our own definition of design, trying to capture its essence from multiple perspectives. If you remember in our discussion on design in the previous module, me and Professor Saurabh tried to explain it using various examples to make you understand that design is very contextual. For any design work, its understanding and meaning making depends on many factors such as what are the elements it is composed of, who has created it, who are the consumers, basically the audience who are looking at it, when it got consumed, where it got consumed. So basically the site of audiencing, where basically you look at those artwork, whether you're looking at it in a gallery or whether you are looking at it on the street. So the context basically influence a lot in terms of meaning making and how you are going to experience it. Also, the channels and mediums through which it got circulated within the consumers that also affect the overall meaning making. All these factors plays an equal and important role in making a successful design. If you remember, Saurabh has shared his own definition, which was similar to mine, but at the same time, it gave you another perspective. That means design is experiential, and the way we experience it, accordingly, we craft our own definition. We also looked at various examples. The examples which are not only from the classroom setup, from students' assignments, but also from graphic design history, discussing how they either aligned with or challenged our initial thoughts, reshaping our perceptions of what design truly is. And I'm sure that by now you all have your own definition of design. And I'm confident that those definitions are not just influenced from the literature you have read or the discussion we have gone through, but also from your day to day experiences. Design is iterative, and with time, as we progress with the course, we will look back into those definitions which is written by you and try to learn and refresh our understanding. So, all right, now as we move forward into the second module, I will be your instructor and our journey will delve deeper into design fundamentals, the foundational elements that form the backbone of all visual communication. In this module, we will dissect these elements and explore how they work together to create compelling and effective designs. Through practical examples and case studies, we will strengthen our understanding of how each element plays a crucial role in building powerful visual narratives and helps in delivering impactful messages. If you look into this module, this is going to be 1 week module, and by the end of this module, if you will pay attention, you will be able to identify and describe the basic elements of design, which is line, shape, form, space, texture, value, and color. You will also understand the role each element plays in creating balanced, functional, and aesthetically pleasing designs. This module will help to analyze and critique how these elements are used in various mediums to communicate messages, evoke emotions, and create meanings. Dear friends, if you will pay attention to all the discussion, you will be able to apply knowledge of design to create original works, making informed design decisions about how to use these components to solve design challenges. And by doing so, you will be able to understand how combining different design elements can lead to innovative, effective, and powerful communication. But before we move forward, let me also remind you what are the materials we need to polish our skills while going through this module. We have already shared the list in our previous discussion. I'm again going to read it out so that you will remember it and arrange them to do exercises and assignments we are going to have throughout this module. These materials are pencil, scale, preferably steel scale because we are going to cut a lot of papers to do assignments. You need paper cutter, A4 black and white sheets, if possible arrange Catrice or ivory sheets, which is 200 or more than that GSM. GSM basically refer to the thickness of the paper. So basically you need thick paper to carry out the exercises. You can also keep A4 normal white sheets for your rough work and practice. You may need black and white water resistant gel pen, poster color, black drawing ink, brushes, both flat and round, paper cutting mat, A3 size will work, and paper glue. So, as discussed earlier, the fundamental elements of design are line, shape, form, space, texture, value, and color. These elements, much like the building blocks of language, allow us to construct designs that communicate ideas, emotions, and stories. So, based on these elements, this whole module is divided into 5 sessions where we are going to look into each element one by one to understand its role and application in graphic design. But before we start understanding these fundamental elements one by one, the question is why one must understand design fundamental. You may think about it for a moment, and if possible, please write it down to revisit it whenever required. Let us understand this with few examples. This is a poster which was circulated across the different social media platform by one of the department at our institute. When I came across this poster, I realized that understanding the design fundamentals are not only important to a budding graphic designer, but equally important for all whoever is trying to do an effective and powerful communication. If you look at this poster, it has so many issues, and because of that, it is not so effective in terms of communicating messages it has intended to. If I have to point it out one by one, there is a problem with margin, breathing space, space division, that means space division between different elements, There is a problem with background color contrast, especially with the text and background color. There is no hierarchy and it is difficult to navigate through this poster. So basically there is a problem with guiding your eyes when you are looking at this poster. There is a problem with emphasis, and it is not clear that which information is important and should be looked at in the first go. Similarly, there are many other issues. Now let us understand this with another example. In this second examples, can you read this text? Is it pleasing to your eyes? I guess it is not. So why this is happening? Can you guess? Let me tell you, the contrast between the text color and background is really poor. So how one can enhance this? How one can make this contrast better? That means one has to have a proper understanding of color theory and also a knowledge of how one particular color behave against the another color. Now what about this? Now the contrast is better than the previous example. However, still the combination is not working out and it looks disturbing or putting lot of strain on our eyes when we are looking at it. That means green and red color does not work when it is used for background and text color. So from where you will know this? Of course, understanding the design fundamentals, right? At the same time, this understanding may come through practices. So, as you have enrolled for this course, the practice is key to success in this course. So, the more you will practice, more you will learn. Now, look at this, the last line. Just like this example, where the text is having a proper contrast, and at the same time, one does not have to put much strain while looking at it. So from previous two examples, it is clear that understanding design fundamentals are important in terms of making visual design functional as well as aesthetically pleasing. For me, understanding the fundamentals of design is crucial for several key reasons, particularly for anyone aiming to create impactful, functional, and aesthetically pleasing design. You know why? Because it provides the essential tools and, most importantly, vocabulary that enables creativity and gives you the confidence to experiment and innovate, helping you to push the boundaries of design. It allows you to communicate ideas more clearly and it ensures consistency in your work. It helps build strong and cohesive designs, which in turn foster trust and recognition among users and consumers. And at the last, but the important one is, you need to know the rules before you can break them. Once you fully understand how the elements of design works together, you can intentionally break the rules to create something very unique and provocative. That means by understanding the fundamental, you will have this power to know till what extreme you can go and experiment with these design elements. Now, to better understand these elements, let us think about it from a reverse engineering perspective. When someone is analyzing a complex engineer product, such as a stapler, which is visible on the screen, what would be the most efficient way to understand it? If you will ask to a product designer, he may say that the most efficient way to understand how it works is often by breaking it down into its basic components. We deconstruct the product piece by piece to see how each part contribute to the whole. If you look at this image, there are more than 12 components. These components may be useless and may not do any function in isolation. But when those components come together, they form a complete functional product, isn't it? Similarly, we can reverse engineer a design, specifically a graphic design artwork, by isolating its fundamental elements to gain a clearer understanding of how they function individually and in relation to one another. To make you understand this better with respect to graphic design, let us take an example of a film poster. This is a film poster of a very old film, Patthar Aur Payal. If you break it into individual components, you may find that these components can be placed into two categories. If you look at the screen, these elements are numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these elements falls basically under two categories. One is textual and another is visual, or you may say textual and non-textual content. If you look at non-textual content, within this you will find there is an image of both male and female counterparts. There is a villain image as well. You will also find there are colors, texture, and other graphical elements. Under textual content, you may find film titles, which is one of the most significant and prominent part of a film poster. Then there is credit section where you will find production house name, director's name, film star's name, and many more things. Now, if you closely look at this poster, and when you decode these individual elements in isolation, it might communicate a meaning which may not make any sense in relation to the film. But when these elements, both text and visuals, comes together, they work in synergy. And that's how they complement each other and helps in communicating an effective message. Or here you can say they work together and communicate the film themes in a very effective manner. Just to take an example, if you look at the title, which is Patthar Aur Payal, the first part, which is Patthar, the treatment to the title is very different compared to the next part, which is Payal. So Patthar reflects on the male protagonist and Payal reflects on female protagonist. And just to give an idea of their character in the film, the texture and then treatment to the letters are very different. The texture used within the text in Patthar reflect on harsh and rude nature of male protagonist, whereas the fluid lines and decorative letters used in Payal suggest very soft, humble, and loving nature of female protagonist. So this is one example, but we can look into multiple other posters and try to decode them into individual elements and accordingly to understand these elements and find out whether what kind of to find out what kind of meaning they are making in isolation, and at the same time when they are working together, whether the meaning is getting changed, exaggerated, or something else. So this is a task for you guys as well. I showed you one film poster. Maybe you go back and look into many other film posters and then try to break them into two different categories which we just discussed. One is text part and another is image part or visual elements, and then try to understand how they are making meaning when they are coming together and in isolation as well. All right, then, so we will stop here. I hope you are now clear about why understanding design fundamentals are important for anyone who is trying to do a very effective communication. In our next video lecture, we will start with the first element of design, that is line, and try to understand how it contributes in terms of creating powerful visual content. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in our next lecture. Till then, goodbye and see you soon.